In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the best 7-3 toxic center build in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. If you could do me a quick favor, scroll down, smash that big red subscribe button, as well as like the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys do have interesting and fun builds that you guys want me to try out, DM me on Twitter so I can borrow them for a video. Out of all the builds I have tried this year, this is probably the most toxic build. I decided to take the first build in this video to the 1v1 court just to show you guys how good it is as a post scorer. For the first gameplay, I was 1v1ing a guard, so I do feel kind of bad. As you guys can see, the very first possession, he's already spamming. As long as you walk around with L2, you should be fine. After that, I back him down, hit him with the double spin, which is probably my favorite move to do as a post scorer. Get him in the air once, but then he comes back with a pretty nice contest, but it just doesn't matter. As I was saying, I do feel kind of bad. On defense, I decided to overplay the three-pointer. I know I'm not getting stopped on offense. And plus, from time to time, I know I'll get a chase down. Once I get the ball back, I run to the left and hit him with a post spin, completely burn him, and then get a wide open layup off of the drop step. From there, there's not really too much to show. We just kind of go back and forth. He was just kind of taking layups since I was overplaying the three-pointer. And I was just abusing my size. You see me drop stepping and completely yamming on his head. Eventually, a little bit later in the game, the score is 8-6 and he bricks a semi-open three-pointer. I get the board, come back, hit him with the double post spin, and then just back him down enough to get a standing layup. I know that if I do get the ball close enough to the basket, there's nothing he can do. Again, pretty much the exact same thing happens. He misses a semi-open shot. Then I come back, hit him with a couple spins, get him in the air, and then do a nice little post hop to move around my defender and get a wide open layup. He misses another open shot and I have a 6-point lead, plus I have the ball, so I decide to switch things up a bit. And I decided just to see how toxic I could get by post hooking. I know this is toxic, but like the game was already over, so. And even though he's right in my face, he gets no contest at all. And it's not just like this against guards. When you post hook, even against big men, they just get no contest. After he saw me post hooking, plus the fact I already had an 8-point lead, he decides to quit. This honestly makes sense because if I was going against a post scorer who was already bullying me, but then decided to start post hooking, yeah, I would quit too. I ended up winning this game, but I want to show you guys another gameplay against a big man. Since this guy is a big, I can't really just go up with anything and expect there to be no contest at all. I start with ball in first possession of the game. He's just completely boxed me. He comes back, gets me jumping, goes up with a layup and drains it. I hit him with my signature double spin. He kind of slides off to the side a little bit. And I do a nice little step through shot. And yo, check out this defense. He just straight rim runs and I catch up to him and get a nice chase down block. He still has the ball though and he kind of backs me down, which I was surprised, and then he post hooks me. You guys can see my defense is pretty good on this shot, but it doesn't really matter. I don't get a contest because that's just how post hooks work. I mean, I really shouldn't be complaining about toxicity if I'm using a 7-3, so just moving on. At this point, he just wants to steal, so I hit him with the post spin. I get by him and I thought he was going to jump, but he just ends up running past me, so I go up with the standing lay. He is post scoring takeover and he's still post hooking. I come back, decide to use my size and drop step him. Now this is something I have never seen before. I have a 25 steal rating. He jab steps and I press square. And somehow with a 25 steal rating, I steal it straight from his hands. He does just end up spamming jump on me and I'm unable to time it correctly, which is something I need to work on as a post scorer. So he does get the ball back and he goes up with a post hook that I block. He actually greened this shot, which just kind of shows that as long as you're able to get your post hook off, you can green it. So the score is 6-6 and I'm backing him down. Also, I have takeover. I was using advanced post moves, so I decided to go with a drop step, kind of get around him and get a nice little layup. Advanced post moves is honestly not the greatest takeover for a post scorer. In hindsight, I wish I wouldn't post shot daggers since post hooks are just too OP. The score is 8-6 and he gets the ball back and I see he's going up with a post hook. I press triangle and get the block. If you're guarding someone that is post hooking, you either have to have really good reaction time or you just kind of have to guess and hope you get it correct. He gets the rebound, but somehow I also get a bump steal. Now at this point, he's pretty mad. He's spamming square for a steal, so I just drop step around him and get a wide open dunk. The score is 10-6. He comes back with a nice post hook. Then I do my double spin move and get a nice little layup. The next possession, I actually ended up blocking another post hook. This one I 100% just guessed on. At this point, I'm feeling pretty confident, and check out what I do. I noticed for the last few possessions, he's ran up, pressed square at least once, and then ran into the paint. So once I do recognize he's running back into the paint, I hit him with a post hop. I then get wide open and then hit the nice little midi. At this point, I was up 14-8 and had a 6-point lead, and this was enough for me to close out the game. There's not really much else for me to show you guys. We both just kind of went back and forth. Him post hooking and then me using my size and drop stepping him. The sheer size of this build makes it absolutely impossible to stop. And in this gameplay, it was only at 78 overall and only had rebirth badges. Not to mention on defense, even against people who post hook, you can get a ton of blocks. As far as actually how I made this build goes, this is what I personally did. First, for the position, obviously you have to be a center for this build. There's literally no other position that works. For the height, obviously you need this at 7'3". That's kind of the whole point of this build. And then for now, we're gonna actually skip weight and max out our wingspan. Max wingspan is, in my opinion, just really helpful for defense and finishing. And then what you're going to want to do for the weight is drop this down as much as possible while still having 99 defensive rebound. So as you guys can see, once you pass the 237 mark, you're going to lose a little bit of rebounding. You don't want to do this. If you want Hall of Fame rebound chaser, you need 99 rebounds. So this is very important. So starting things off with the finishing attributes, first, you're going to want to bump up your close shot to a 91. Next, for the driving layup, you're going to want this at a 52. For the driving dunk, you're going to want this at a 71. For the standing dunk, you're going to want this at a 92. And for the post control, you're going to want this at a 93. This build has in total 30 finishing badges, which is very good. It's definitely going to be yamming on everyone, especially with standing dunks. I designed this build to be a post scorer build for Park, but also a very good all-around center build for Rec Center and Pro-Am. Moving on to the shooting attributes. First, you're going to want to bump up your mid-range to a 77. And then next, for your three-pointer, you're going to want this at a 72. You'll have in total 18 shooting badges, which is pretty decent. And I've only used this build for a little bit, but let me tell you guys, this build can 100% green. It's not going to be creating its own shot and just spotting up from anywhere, but catch and shoot, spot up shots are definitely going to go in a high percentage of the time. But I do know some people that need a higher free throw, so I'm going to show you guys a build variation with an 82 free throw instead, but it still will be 7'3". Scrolling down to your playmaking attributes, the only thing you really need is pass accuracy, which I would recommend bumping up to an 85. You have 16 playmaking badges, you won't really need all 16, but it is really nice to have Hall of Fame break starter and gold bullet passer. Scrolling down to your defensive / rebounding attributes, first for your interior defense, you're going to want this at an 80. For perimeter, steal, and block, you're going to want all three of these maxed out. For offensive rebound, you're going to want to bump this up to an 85. And then finally, for your defensive rebounding, you're going to want this at a 99. You'll have in total 34 defensive badges, which is very good. Anybody going up with a dunk with this build, even in the vicinity, is honestly a madman. Honestly, on this build, you're going to be getting so many blocks and so many rebounds, it's not even funny. For your physicals, I would recommend maxing out speed and acceleration, also maxing out strength, and then go ahead, skip vertical, max out stamina. You do have a few ratings left over. I would recommend throwing 1 rating onto vertical, and then throw 1 rating onto interior defense. This build is in total 98 badges, which is very, very good. Its defense and slashing is honestly crazy. Its passing is also very good as well, and its shooting is pretty decent. Like, you can spot up if you need to. Honestly, the real only downside of this build is that it is a little bit slow. If you do want free throw on this build, you kind of have to do a lot. First, take away that 1 rating you throw on interior defense. Next, drop down your mid-range to a 74. Scrolling down to stamina, you're going to want this at a 90. And then finally drop the speed down 2 ratings to a 59. With all of those ratings combined together, you can get a 79 free throw, which is good enough to be able to hit free throws more than consistently. For this build, you honestly have so many good options. It really does depend on your playstyle and what you want it to look like. But for me, I want this to be a post score build, so I'm going to go with post shot daggers. And then for takeover number 2, I'm going to go with advanced post moves. It really depends on what you want to be doing. If you want to be getting crazy blocks, maybe go with like stuff blocks or something. If you want to be getting unlimited rebounds, maybe go with see the future. But these are the takeovers I'm going with. And as you guys can see, I've built a plain old paint beast. So moving on to a variation of that build, I'm going to kind of speed through this one. First, for the position, obviously it has to be center. For the height, you're still going to want to go 7'3", but for the weight, you are going to want to drop this down to minimum since there is no way to get Hall of Fame rebound chaser anyways. And then for the wingspan, you're going to want to go with 7'3". This is where the increased three-pointer comes from. Starting things off with the finishing attributes, you're going to want the close shot at a 97. You're going to want the driving lay at a, you guys see, you're going to want the driving dunk at a 64 and the standing dunk at a 96. You're not going to have post control in this build. This is more of a 7-3 stretch than a post scorer. For your shooting attributes, you're going to want your three-pointer at an 82. And then next, your mid-range, you're going to want this at an 87. You will have 27 shooting badges, which is much better. And 100%, you're going to be shooting over everyone. Scrolling down to pass hack, you're going to want this at an 87. That's basically the only thing that matters. Your defensive / rebounding attributes are still going to be very good with max interior, max perimeter, and steal. A 97 block, a 81 offensive rebound, and an 80 defensive rebound. Scrolling down to your physicals, you're going to want max speed, max acceleration, a max strength, a 51 vertical, and a max out stamina. This build has 100 total badges and is very similar to the previous build. Its shooting is much better and so is its playmaking, but in exchange, you're not going to be able to post score and your defense is going to be a little bit worse. If you do want free throw on this build, you can very easily get max free throw. First, drop down your stamina to a 94, then drop down your mid-range to an 84. You can get 88 free throw. Moving on to the takeovers. For the first takeover, I would recommend going with stuff blocks. And then for takeover number 2, I'm going to go with spot up precision. As you can see, I built a two-way stretch glass cleaner, which kind of makes sense as a name. And with that being said, that is going to wrap it up for the video. If you want what is, in my opinion, the best build in the game, click one of the videos on the screen right now. Like, comment, subscribe, go follow me on Twitter, and I'm out. Peace.